Okay, this is from Chris Farugia 1048. He says, "You have no idea how helpful you are. Your videos are gold for my WLA restoration. I also love that Fender tip. May I ask what it's called?"
Fender tip. Not really too sure what he means, to be fair. Yeah, that's a goodie. Right, the Fender tips. They did do sort of aftermarket accessory parts in the 40s and 50s, so you can get chrome ones. That one on that video is literally just gold paint. He's painted it on there, but I can see why, because the bumper fender is stepped like that. Yeah. He's just painted that bit in gold. Yeah. But you can get aftermarket accessories and things.
Oh, I see.
To actually screw on. So yeah, you can get them in chrome. You can get them with little lights on them. You can get all, you know, like little reflectors on them. All the 40s, 50s replica or aftermarket accessories. Yeah, you can get all sorts of fender tips and bumpers that go on the front and all kinds of strange stuff. But that one's just painted. So.
Cool. Motorbike Mike B1047 says, "What's your opinion on the nylon plugs for the gudgeon wrist pin?"
Gudgeon wrist pin.
Gudgeon wrist pin.
Yeah, they work. Instead of putting a circlip on the ends, or the style of Harley Davidson clip, which isn't a circlip. It is a circlip, but it isn't, if that makes sense. Instead of using that, because obviously you've got to stop your gudgeon pin sliding, yeah. Otherwise it will score the bore up. So you put Teflon, nylon plugs in either side and a machine to fit the bore. Yeah, it works just as well as anything else. Never seen them for actually for a 45 Harley, but lots of modern cars have got them. Yeah, it's just a progression on an old design, really. Oh, good man. Oh, I love you.
It's from user JI6IF2NH40.
Yeah.
Wish I had you around to figure why my MGTD gearbox keeps popping out of first.
Yeah.
It actually kind of climbs out of gear. I have to hold it in first, or the other gears hold fine.
Yeah. Indent balls. Basically, when you change gear, you have a rod that you have a fork bolted to, and that fork will slide your gears in and out.
Yeah.
Okay. Now on that rod, there's scallops in it. So you've got first, second, third, fourth, and reverse. So once you'll have two rails, one will be normally reverse and first,
yeah, and
the other one will be second, third, and fourth. Okay. So whichever way they move, but you have a ball bearing sits in the slot. I've got a book somewhere, must be one somewhere. Doing all this thought. So as you move gear, your gear lever goes in that hole there.
Yeah.
So you click it side to side, that will flick that over to run that rail, flick it over to run that rail, or flick it over on that rail. I mean, it's just a different gearbox from a TD, obviously, but it's all the same thing. So if you look there, look, see that? It's very hard to see. See that groove in that shaft there?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Then there's a ball bearing there. Look, detent balls. 1, 2, 3. Detent springs. 1, 2, 3. So that gives you a positive. When that ball bearing is spring loaded, yeah.
Yeah.
And it goes into that slot, that clonk, and it holds it in gear. So it'll be either the springs are weak, broken, ball bearings disintegrated, but that'll be normally what it is to stop it jumping in and out of a gear. Yeah, it's more than likely 100%. You know, it is normally detent balls.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Springs go weak. You know, they've had years of abuse, especially on a TD, probably 50s. You know. Yeah, I'll almost guarantee it's that.
Terry Macy's 7619 says, "Could you explain how to figure stroke on a Harley engine, or direct me to a good source?"
To figure stroke? Well, your stroke is...
What is figure stroke? What's that mean?
Well, it's figuring out the stroke. You've got bore, up and down is your stroke, bore is your whip.
Yeah.
Stroke times bore gives you a CC. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
So, it doesn't matter. Lots of people get confused with conrod length, thinking that if you lengthen the conrod, that doesn't alter your stroke. Okay, so you've got your central crank pin. That's the outside of your flywheel, say. Oval flywheel, that one, look.
Oh, there.
So then you've got your big end. Okay?
Yeah.
So centre crank pin, so that's your main bearing, that's your big end. You've got conrod goes up there, yeah?
Yeah.
I'll say that's that. That isn't your stroke length. That is the length of your conrod. Your stroke length is determined by how far away the big end is from the centre of the crank pin.
Okay.
So if that's up there, yeah, and you've got conrod, so it doesn't matter. Your stroke is now basically 2 times that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as it rotates, you got to there, to there, to there. So altering the length of the conrod doesn't alter the stroke. It's the variation between the centre of the main bearing and the centre of the crank pin that determines your stroke.
Okay.
Yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah.
So basically, it works on 3 planes: centre, outside, bottom. So that, as it rotates round there, bottom dead centre, top dead centre. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got TDC, BDC. Okay. So as that flows round, that gives you your stroke downwards, and as it's coming up, that gives you your stroke upwards. So it's that dimension from there to there times 2. That makes sense?
Yeah.
That will give you your stroke length.
Okay.
So there's lots of information about there. I mean, machine down sports to flywheels, and you can change all sorts of things on them. Yeah, that basically is your stroke. Don't drink red wine.
This is some Jose Velasco 2197. He said, I've just got an old Springer. It came with an original but rusty springs. Do you recommend that I get new springs or use the same ones?
Now get new ones. Every time get new ones.
What's wrong with using the old one?
They wear out, they get slack, you'll end up with the centre springs rattling around inside the outer springs, because the centre springs actually are bent. That's designed to hold them on the shaft to stop them rattling. Yeah, every time I put new springs in if you can. Yeah. And
those are repro parts, but
they're out there.
Good repro parts.
Yeah, there's loads of them. Realistically, you can't f up a spring. You can't machine it wrong. It is what it is, you know.
Very true. 73 Alec. Hi Ash, how much oil should I put in my WLA? The handbook says fill it to within 1 inch of the top, which I do, but
it spills out.
The oil does not got very warm, and I always have been told it needs to be reasonably warm to do its job properly and circulate. I've heard that some people only fill it as far as the refill line on the dipstick, which is only halfway.
I normally go about 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch above the refill line. If you overfill them, and if your timing's out very slightly and it gets hot, it will just belch out the top of the oil tank. Yeah, I think it's probably one of those Harley Davidson squaddy proof things from the war.
Yeah.
Just they didn't give a shit where the oil went. It went all over the bike. They wouldn't have cared. But if you're riding one, yeah, 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch above the refill line is more than enough. And as you say, it will get warmer. And they don't run a lot of oil pressure at all. It's more about circulation. They're probably only running at about 4 psi, something like that. Yeah, but if you overfill them, they do belch out the top of the tank, and you go around the right-hand corner and you're dribbling out, and you know, yeah, that's about ballpark.
There's a lot of people who watch the how to find the centre of any circle short that we did, and there's a lot of people just saying, the example you gave, why don't you just fold a bit of paper in half? But not
yes, because
really
we explained it on a piece of paper. If you've got to cut a hole out of a bit of metal or something, you want to find the middle of it to stick it in the lathe or something, then it's just
good luck.
Yeah. You can't fold a lump of metal in half.
Yeah.
You can try. Strong like bull. There's lots of different ways of doing it, to be fair. You'll have people commenting saying, oh, you can do the axis of this or for that and blah 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 blah, or the right angle, you know, it's just the way I do it.
When we did the episode recently on the 1948 Buick Series 70 when you were testing and fixing the generator.
Yes.
Someone commented, said, you happened to send off a crank from a Buick recently. We had one at the machine shop and I thought it was quite a coincidence.
Not us. Not guilty.